Good evening. Normally at this time we would start our regularly scheduled board meeting, but in this case, this month we have two public hearings. One in regards to the rezoning of 1107 Hedgemont from residential 2 to commercial 3. And then we have a public hearing for FY 2022 budget ordinance 2021-06. We will start with the public hearing on rezoning 1107 Hedgemont R2 to C3. People that are here are welcome to come up and speak whether they're for this or against this. This public hearing is as the board. We're here to hear your comments or concerns. This is not a back and forth. We won't be answering questions, but you have a right to state your time. We ask you to limit your comments 3 to 5 minutes. So I'd like to ask the first person who may like to speak to come forward. Go ahead, sir. Come on forward, please. Please say your name.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Ray Rozier. I reside at 107 Curtis Haskins Boulevard here in Fayetteville. I've lived there close to 40 years. I appreciate you and the board allowing me to speak on this matter. I wish to enter into the minutes of this meeting a petition, which we have got signed by several residents of Fayetteville, opposing the rezoning of this particular parcel. And then I would like to voice a few of my personal concerns over the manner in which this matter has been advertised to the general public. Petition reads as follows. We, the undersigned citizens of the city of Fayetteville, Tennessee, voice our concerns with the rezoning of the former Stonebridge Academy, formerly 8th District Elementary School, from R2 to C3 for the purpose of allowing a supportive recovery housing facility for substance abuse treatment. That would be the Resurgence Behavioral Health Tennessee. The physical address of the above mentioned property is 1107 Hedgemont Avenue in Fayetteville. Our concerns are as follows. This is a residential neighborhood consisting of single-family dwellings occupied by long-time retirees as well as families with children. The two subdivisions, South Trail Subdivision and Stonebridge Drive, were constructed in the 1950s and 60s when the property located on this Hedgemont Avenue was the former 8th District School. Property adjacent to a public school is generally viewed as safe and very desirable property. The location of a drug and alcohol rehab facility at this location will significantly injure the value of the residential properties in these neighborhoods. We express our concerns over the security of the proposed drug and rehab facility. The rehab facility currently located at 201 William D. Jones Boulevard here in Fayetteville has had numerous police and 911 calls. The resurgent facility would effectively double the number of rehab facilities in the city of Fayetteville and would make for a total of 3 facilities in Lincoln County. With the large number of occupants proposed for the resurgent facility to number 108, this will certainly increase the workload for our local police agencies. This will adversely affect not only the 2 adjacent neighborhoods, but the entire city and the county as well. The individuals housed at the resurgent facility will be housed there voluntarily. They are not compelled by court order. Therefore, they will be free to exit this rehab treatment program at the time of their own choosing. Should they not have the monies for transportation from our city, they will add to our current homeless problem. These are the situations we need to correct in our city, not increase. We do not need to add additional costs of crime and homelessness to our local governments. With regards to the handling of the matter and the way it was advertised, in the front page of the June 2nd Elk Valley Times newspaper, it was revealed to the general public for the first time that the rezoning was to locate a drug and alcohol treatment facility. Prior to that, it just said it was going to be rezoned to C3. The information apparently was supplied to the Elk Valley Times by the Fayetteville Planning and Codes Department and was taken verbatim from an undated and unsigned letter from the Resurgence Behavioral Health Tennessee Company, a copy of which was sent out with a letter informing local residents and business owners of this June 8th public hearing. Fayetteville has a population of slightly over 7,000 residents. Only 68 letters were mailed to local residents and business owners. That equates to 0.009% of the city population. The article goes on to state that the use will not significantly injure the value of adjacent property. I've spoken personally to local real estate agents regarding this and have been told by them of course it will affect the home and property values. I believe our local agents probably know more about Fayetteville real estate than a California corporation. The article states many of the adjacent parcels are currently zoned C3. Depending on the definition of adjacent, South Trail subdivision and Stonebridge Drive are directly across from this property, separated only by Hedgemont Avenue. There are several other streets that are adjacent to this as well. DeSoto Street, Union Street, Hedgemont Avenue, and several smaller streets, totaling roughly 125 homes in this area. The property to be rezoned is directly across from Lincoln Central Academy property, the old Central High School, which currently houses a technical school, some pre-K classes, virtual school, the alternative school, along with all the Lincoln County School administrative offices. All these properties are within easy walking distance of the Stonebridge Academy property. I've yet to see any mention made of security to be at the Resurgence facility. During the time frame of January 1, 2020 through May 26, 2021, 9 records of various illegal activities at the William Jones Rehab facility were provided to me as a matter of public records. They detail 65 police contacts and police actions. This facility houses only 20 patients, a fraction of what Resurgence plans to house at 108. So you can see that would extrapolate to quite a few more calls perhaps. We also have a facility down in Taft, Tennessee. It's been resulted in having at least 7 visits from the sheriff's department there too. Court-ordered drug rehab requires security at their properties. This is a voluntary treatment center, therefore no security will be required. This is also going to be an unaccredited facility. No one on probation will be allowed to be housed at that. So if we have a local drug offender who's sentenced to probation by the judge, they can't go to this facility here in our own city. These are our main concerns, not only for the people in the neighborhood, but also for the general population of Lincoln County, Fayetteville, Tennessee, and Lincoln County. We sincerely urge the Board of Mayor and Alderman to allow the Stonebridge Academy property to remain residentially zoned as it currently is, which will allow it to remain compatible with the character of the area. Additionally, as of 2:30 this afternoon, I checked with the Egg Valley Times poll. They're doing a poll on this. In favor were 27 votes, 35.5%. Opposed to the rezoning, 64.5%. Respectfully submitted, Mayor. With your permission, I would like to deliver to Pam a copy of the letter that was sent to those 68 residents, along with copies of the petition, and along with copies of the police reports and the signed signatures. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I additionally have copies of the letters as it was sent out in the petition for the board members as well.
Anybody else like to speak?
Thank you, sir.
Come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. I learned about the rezoning yesterday when I opened the newspaper.
Okay, real quick. Now, we all know you, but state your name for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Fletcher Smith II, and I pastor a church in the zone over here, okay? And my concerns are about the zone as a whole, okay? So when I put this together, everybody knows me knows I can get very intense about subjects. So my wife has spent much time encouraging me to stay calm, okay? Because I've been here 10 years and I haven't seen anything substantial being done in that zone in 10 years. And so my objections come in the form of questions. First question is, I'd like to ask the mayor, how is putting a rehabilitation center in that zone, in the neighborhood, in a drug-infested area to the right of it, if we're looking this way, or to the north of it, community to the south of it, how does that play into your major strategic plans for the city?
So you came in a few minutes late. We explained, we're listening to public.
Well, that's fine.
You can submit your questions.
I'm gonna ask questions because I want everybody to ask hear my questions, because questions don't do nothing but encourage thinking and questioning. The next question I have is that every time I have a chance to talk to Alderman Bryant, we always come up with the phrase ROIC, okay? And I honestly believe that there's gotta be a return on everything you do in this city, of which I have never seen, and nobody can ever answer a question for me. So my question is, what is the return, ROIC, to the community, economically or socially? How does putting a drug rehab center in that location going to enhance the community socially or economically? And I know that the young man that just spoke mentioned the crime rate, and that was another question I had. What was the crime rate? Because I didn't have the opportunity because I had to work for a living. So today I didn't have the opportunity to really put my numbers together like I like putting numbers together. But I appreciate everything that you brought, very organized, and the numbers very structured. What was the crime rate associated with the current location of this facility? Has anybody done any investigations about their Costa Mesa location or their locations in California and how they affected the communities there? Or are we just taking somebody else's word for it? Has anybody contacted the police departments in the other locations that they have in the nation? Because if I'm correct, they're out of California, am I correct? Okay. So how does the crime rate of the current location, how does that transfer over to the new location? And the young man right behind me had some numbers that he was guessing at, and I'm guessing that his numbers were low. And right now, at night, the police presence in this city, bottom line, sucks, gentlemen and ladies, okay? The budget in every department in this city has grown over the last 10 years proportionally to the income, except for the police department, okay? So how are you gonna protect us when you can't protect us now? My next point was, you're putting this drug rehab center in the neighborhood that is the easiest neighborhood in the town to get a hookup. I pastor a church and they used my parking lot to come in town when I first got there to pick up drugs, and then the kids would walk back over to their cars in my parking lot, and there's police reports on file about it. So that whole zone is where everybody comes from out of town to get drugs, and you're putting a rehab center right there. Makes no sense to me. And the next thing I have is this. The communication of everything in this city. Let me talk to y'all. The communication of everything in this city sucks. We don't hear anything until the last minute in this city. Everybody knows that everybody does not keep that paper. Then you send out 68 letters. You putting that rehab center there is going to affect me down on Morgan Street. I didn't get a letter. How many pastors in the area were notified? How many churches were notified? We didn't get notified until we read it in the paper. And I just got lucky yesterday because I just happened to have got back from vacation and got my very first copy delivered to my house of the Elk Valley Times. And I'm just going to make this statement. It's time that I feel that the people on this board start working for the people in the audience. I don't get it. The inconsistency of the management and the functionality of this city is crazy. I'd really like to sit with you later so you can tell me what is your strategic plan, your annual strategic plan, which is required by the city charter. Where can I get a copy of it so I can see where we're going? Is that not in the charter? You want me to show it to you? I think it's on page 14 or 15. I want to end with saying, I hope that everybody makes a judgment with truth, honesty, integrity, and the true well-being of Fayetteville City when you make this vote. And I pray that all y'all have a blessed day.
Anybody else wish to speak? Anybody else wish to speak? Go on.
So my name is Janice Meliadis. I bought a home at 2501 Huntsville Highway, October 2019. I'm originally from New York.
Can you put mine towards you?
I'm originally from New York, but I live on Huntsville Highway, and I bought a house there. I go back and forth. In 2019, I bought the house pre-pandemic. I have deep roots here. I have spent summers on Stonebridge Drive. My aunt lives on Stonebridge Drive. I bought this house because I want that country, safe living that I'm not getting in New York. The memories of how wonderful my childhood was coming here and spending the whole summer, and we'd drive back north and I'd say, Mommy, Daddy, I could tell we're almost home. Everybody's getting meaner. Everybody's getting meaner. Virginia, Maryland, nasty. And, you know, being in New York, you got the gangs, the Bloods, the Crips, MS-13s. They're all on drugs. That's what it's all about. And when they leave these facilities and you let them go, they're not going out to work. They're going out to get some more drugs, to sell drugs. And you're going to destroy Fayetteville, Tennessee. That's exactly what you're going to do. And I heard about this last Friday night, word of mouth, because I have family here. I was supposed to be on my way on a vacation the very next day. So it means that much to me. I changed my vacation. I got a ticket voucher to do anything, you know, between March 31st now that I've been waiting since COVID hit. But what the hell, just cancel one more time, because this is pretty important. I want to rest. I don't want to have to be home at 5, 6 o'clock with my doors locked and my alarm on anymore. Okay? I want to come down here and I want to rest. You just raised my taxes. What was that for? Is this what you're using it for? I'm fixing up my house. I'm making it nice. I have money invested here. We're good, hardworking people. I don't want to have to worry about my mother, my aunts. I mean, this is crazy. I'm not going to go visit her after 5, 6 o'clock. Because it's getting dark and you got crazy people running around on drugs. So I bought a house to come here and live, to get away from New York, because I love the way the people are here and how they are in the town, the community. I grew up on Stonebridge Drive. I played in that schoolyard with the Linvilles, Penny and Lee, you might know them. It's just insanity to find out you're doing this. And why? Why do you want to be like New York? Why? It makes no sense. And it's really upsetting to me. Are you going to really do this? Do you have any answers? Is this just like thinking about it? Are you going to do this? Do you want to be New York? Is that what you want? Is everybody in the government corrupt? So what's the next move? And how am I going to find out? You take my money and you're going to build something like this. It's ridiculous. I'm living scared in Long Island because of Facebook. And you got these people chasing after me because I made a post that Trump won. Well, he did. I mean, we all know it. You know it. I know it. I mean, he knows it. Even Biden knows it. But you know what? Why are you going to destroy every Republican state? That's where the good people are running to the red states to get away from the blue people. Do you want to be the bad guys or do you want to be the good guys? That's what it's really down to. What kind of state are you going to be? This country's never been more divided, and I want to be in the great state of Tennessee, and I want my town to be safe. I want to relax. I don't want to be running scared, watching my back, fumbling my keys as I'm opening my front door anymore, because that's what I'm doing. You can pull up past video on the phone camera we got there. My husband's like, I run up the stairs, we rent an apartment there. You know what I pay for an apartment in New York? $2,800 every month. That's what's gonna happen here. You're gonna bring all the bad guys. Everyone's gonna start dealing drugs. Nobody's gonna wanna work. They're gonna deal drugs. People are gonna go on drugs. Everybody's gonna be committing crimes. And everyone's gonna be fumbling their keys, watching their back as they go in their front door, if it's after dark. My daughter's 23. I make her call me when she gets to work. She has to call me when she leaves work. She has to call me when she is stopping to go to the tanning salon to get her nails done. I have to know where she is every minute. Because if I don't hear from her in a certain time range, I'm like going crazy. So on the camera, I'm fumbling. My husband, what the heck's the matter with you? Like, you were so paranoid. Honestly, I think life in New York is giving me major PTSD. People are horrible. So my whole desire to be around all you wonderful people, you're going to tear it apart. And I've noticed since 2019, just coming back and forth, there are a lot of homeless people hanging out by that liquor store. And I went in there and these people are on the side, growling at me, giving me dirty looks. I guess she was dressed nice or something, but they were definitely homeless. And the lady that works there told me that you don't work nights anymore. So there's definitely been a decline already, and you guys aren't doing anything about it. You need more police. You need people watching on the streets. You don't need, and they say there are people that live over there. I mean, there's homes, there's families, and they bought my grandmother's house, this nice couple over here, 207 Stonebridge Drive. I mean, so I'm worried about my aunt. I'm worried about myself now. And is there any safe place to run and hide? Because I really thought it was this great town. I loved my childhood. I loved coming here. Please don't wreck it. Because that's what you're going to do. I'm begging you. See, look at these pretty blue eyes, and can you promise me you won't?
Well, thank you for your comments.
I mean, and how am I going to find out what's going on next? Call my Aunt Janice, I guess? I mean, my father says, Mr. Blenderman, I don't know if you know him, it doesn't matter, they're going to try to do whatever they want to do anyway. And that's what I'm scared of. Are you really, do you get to do that? Do you get to do whatever you want anyway? And raise my taxes? So I want to retire here, and now I don't know what to do. So you're leaving me just up in arms. I don't know where to go. I put my life savings in this house, and you're going to destroy the neighborhood? It's not fair. Don't be like the bad guys. You could do more for the community if you put something there to create jobs. You don't got to put drug addicts there. It's not fair. They leave, they get drugs. They're not leaving to work and do anything. 9 times out of 10, if someone tells you I'm not doing drugs no more, they're not doing them any less either. They don't stop. 9 times out of 10. Put them in a big city like Nashville. I don't even think on Long Island they have those in and out things. They're only in like Manhattan. They have the ones where they lock you in, you can't get out, but it's a nice schoolyard. I played in it. We're on my skateboard up and down Stonebridge Drive. It's just not fair. It's not fair. And if you do this, I guess before it's done, I'm gonna have to sell my house and get the hell out of here. And I'm sure you'll find that out of a lot of other people. And you could just keep your drug addicts. Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you want
I appreciate the board giving us all some time to speak our opinions and whatnot on this. My name is Matthew Thurman. I am a small business owner on 2005 Wilson Parkway. I'm a general dentist. We are within sight of the previous Stonebridge Academy and, definitely within walking distance. I have a pretty strong opposition for this rezoning for the reasons you've heard prior. Most of these things have been brought on the residential side of things. I'm looking at more of the business and the commercial side of things. Not necessarily hurting my business, but when I house no opiates and or drugs in my office, but the first time somebody gets out, roams around our towns, sees a dentist, what's going to happen? Potentially. It might not, but my concerns are for the safety of my business. Prior to that, I decided to come to this town roughly 6 years ago. And it's been my home. I'm raising two daughters, and this is just not something that I would have seen as a good thing. If I'd have chose to move my business here, which I did, move my business here. The thing I'd like you to consider is how many other individuals like myself are going to say, or because of something like this, are going to say, I'm going to move on to the next smaller town. We're in a position where we're needing things as a whole. Like we're needing young practitioners to come in and fill the places of old ones. And I just fear that this might deter others from seeing Fayetteville for what it was and is, and everything. I'd just like you to take my considerations there. We've really got to capitalize on this movement out of big city, out of big things, and I don't think this adds to that. I think it takes away. So I appreciate you taking our considerations today.
Thank you.
please come forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Dana Chrisman and I work for Resurgence Behavioral Health. And, this has been really hard to sit back and listen to. 70,000 people died last year of an opioid overdose. That's more than the Vietnam War in all the years. I am the face of a recovering addict. I give back to the community. I pay my taxes. I don't steal. I'm a good woman. And I'm very passionate about treatment. I'm very passionate about recovery. I'm very passionate about touching people's lives. And I know that at least 50% of the people in this room know somebody in their family that suffers from addiction. Let's stop alienating these people and help them. We don't just cast people to the streets. We set up discharge plans for them. We allow them to go to have a continuum of care. We believe in long-term treatment, but we also believe in second chances. And I'm a product of a second chance. I lost both my parents to an overdose, and I tell you, I've been fighting this disease my whole life. I have 2 children that are not addicts because I'm carrying the message today of recovery. And I do believe that people deserve the chance to heal. They deserve the chance to be stand-up citizens and finally get back to the communities that they've taken from. Because most drug addicts take from the communities and they ruin their families. They lose their children and they're a burden on society. But there are the ones that actually recover, that start to give back. At Resurgence, we foster a sense of community. We love to foster a sense of safety. We're going to bring more jobs into Fayetteville. I've been driving around the town. There's so many businesses that are shut down. Since we started at 201 William D. Jones Drive, we've added jobs to the community. We've added professional jobs to LVNs, to nurses, to therapists. And I really believe that the impact would be positive. And I'd like for you to just give people a second chance and believe in people, because we're not all bad people. We're just people that need some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Come forward, please.
Appreciate getting that to come tonight. Everything I've heard, my name is Clint Crawford. I'm the new executive director at the Service Behavioral Health. Everything I've heard is all valid. Every bit of it, every concern you have, all valid. I didn't hear anything that I wouldn't feel if I were in your community as well. I understand the questions, the concerns that people have. Too. One of the things I heard, I think you had mentioned about was, we're going to let our state, become this thing, right? And what I would say to that, it's not trying to single you out. It was just, I've heard that conversation.
I'm not trying to, but you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that conversation before. And what I would say to everyone is we're already that state. The last 3 years running in Tennessee has run above the national average in overdose deaths in the United States. You're talking about facts. I'm a numbers guy myself. I'd invite everybody to, you can go to tennessee.gov, look at the state of Tennessee overdose awareness report. One just came out for 2021. It'll break down everything you want to know there, including deaths by county, things like that. Now, you have to remember that with 2021, it's going to be reporting on the 2019 numbers. So they're always running a year behind. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at it. But I've always been a real facts-driven person, like you're talking about, and I would submit that to everybody. We're already there. Now I'm a Mississippi boy, but most of my career has been in Tennessee. I grew up right on the Tennessee line. Recently moved here from Knoxville. I was working with a company there called Journey Pure. In Knoxville alone right now, for the last 3.5 months running, they're averaging 1 overdose death a day. A day. It's already here. So we're not, I think the concept that, well, if we'll hold what we got and we don't address these kind of issues that maybe we won't get drawn into that. We're already there. We're close enough to Nashville. We're already seeing a lot of fentanyl, a lot of heroin, and a lot of meth. One of the things too I would also like to offer is every person that you see who's homeless or on the streets does not mean they're a drug addict or an alcoholic. Most of the studies that you look at, there's a high level of mental health issues there. And one of the struggles that you have when you talk to people who are homeless about trying to help them is they don't want to do that. They want to stay on the street. And a lot of it has to do with the mental illness that goes on with that. That's a real common thing to see. So it's not always automatically, a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction. Now, a lot of times mental health, drug addiction, alcoholism go hand in hand. A lot of times they do. Our goal is to help people with a deadly disease. One of the problems that we have in society today is a fundamental lack of understanding about what addiction is. All right? A lot of times it gets reduced to moral failure. Being spiritually bankrupt is morally based. You hear that a lot. My grandfather was a die-hard Southern Baptist preacher. And he believed wholeheartedly that it was a moral failure. And I can tell you that is not the case. Not the case. Now, when people who are in active addiction do some bad things, yes, they will. Because they're driven by something they control. That's where people like me come in to try to help them with that. We don't admit well people at research. Our job is to help people get their life back. That's what we do. That's our goal. Miss Dana that works with us mentioned, the death rate. You know, that's a very true statement. The Vietnam War lasted 10 years from beginning to end. In that 10 years, 56,000 soldiers died. The United States in 2019, 76,000 people in 1 year died of overdose. There was a study that came out about 4 or 5 years ago that said for every one person in society, their circle of people, meaning people that they're really close to, maybe parents, children, grandchildren, those things, averages about eight people. All right. So let's think about that. In 2019 in Tennessee, I believe it was a little over 2,000 people overdosed, died. The year before that, I think it was 1,989 people overdosed and died. Now, here's what's interesting about that. In the state of Tennessee right now, again, you can look this up on the overdose awareness report. So I don't want you to think I'm throwing any just facts out there. You can read every bit of it. For every one person that overdosed and died in the state of Tennessee in 2019, there were 13 non-fatal overdoses. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. So again, we're already there. We're already there. We have a major problem in the state of Tennessee. Now, if you take those numbers, and we could all agree that perhaps it's a good number that 8 people in our circle, most of us generally have 8 people. How many people got affected by addiction in Tennessee? In 2019, 76,000 people overdosed and died. If you look at the CDC, one of the things they fear the most is because we saw it happen in 2017. In 2017, 72,000 people overdosed and died. By the time they got all of the actual reports in finalized, because there's a lot of underreported overdose deaths, it was closer to 100,000 people. We haven't got those numbers in 2019 yet. But if 76,000 people overdosed and died, and in each of those people's circle, there was an average of 8 people, and you do the math on that, you're talking about over 500,000 people in the United States have been affected by addiction. Only 300 million people in the whole country. Over 500,000 people, all right? And the state of Tennessee runs higher than the national average in overdose deaths and has for the last 3 years. It's already here.
Where's Fayetteville?
Huh?
Where's Fayetteville?
Fayetteville, I think they had 6 overdose deaths last year, I think, or 2019.
We're getting interactive.
Excuse me, sir.
If it's 1%, why would you import that? Why would you import that into your neighborhood?
Order, sir. Excuse me, sir. This is really for you to speak to us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not back and forth. So if you want to wrap your statement up or whatever, we've given you plenty of time to plead your case.
Sure. All right. I appreciate you letting me come talk to you. All right. You too. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else?
I would like to say something.
Please come forward.
I'm not a public speaker. But my name is Barbara Metcalf, and I live at 207 Sunset Drive, and we've been living there for 35 years. My mom and dad has been living there for about 40. And we are concerned with everything that Mr. Ray laid out. He laid it all out from the beginning of the danger that it brings to our neighborhood. And we just want to say that we do not agree with this in any way. My parents getting out, walking in their front yard, they live right across the street from it. We live 3 houses down. And we just think that it brings things to our neighborhood that we do not want for our children, our grandchildren to get out and play in the yard, to ride their bike down the road. We're all for people getting help that they need, but not right beside in our neighborhood. Just think if it was y'all and if it was right beside you that they were thinking about moving this in. It'll be different if you look at it personally like that. That's the way we're looking at it tonight. And thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Mr. Patrick?
Appreciate y'all letting us come tonight. My name is Walt Patrick. I actually live south of town, so I'm not in the city, and I want to say up front that I'm a real estate agent and I've been helping resurgents come and make contacts and, move and look for this type of facility. So I thought moved to come talk to you guys as a personal contact with them, being local. And I told them, and I've told everybody that I've talked to, I'm gonna be here before they came, during, and hopefully, God willing, many years after. So I want to speak on their behalf, but by also playing the middle. So a couple points that I wanted to make myself. I felt lucky that I had the opportunity to meet them, and everybody that with Resurgence that I've spoken with has been extremely professional, very optimistic, and just really looking in a positive way about the things they could do by investing in the community. And I realized I don't live in that neighborhood, and I've spoken with some of you all and said myself, I don't know that I want in my neighborhood, but all as a whole, maybe there may be some lumps and bumps, but I think in a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year situation, it would be a positive addition to the community for their investment.
Excuse me, this is for the speaker to speak.
We all know there's a present problem in the nation, and how does it fix itself? It doesn't. I mean, it needs facilities like this. It needs groups that will come in and invest in the community and long term. I mean, I understand there are, what this may bring, but also can appreciate what it also could fix. I mean, the precedents that may be set for the future of Fayetteville. I mean, the things that can turn, it's got to start somewhere. It certainly hasn't started in a lot of other places, and I understand the negative situation. Mr. Fletcher, brought, how does this fix this community? And it may not in 6 months, but in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, how could there not be a positive impact? Other points are made by what positive would it bring? I mean, you're talking 60, 80 jobs. There's not a lot of places, businesses that are adding that many jobs in this town. I mean, those are maybe in relative terms, that's not a positive for everybody, but I think it's a positive for the city. I just wanted I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say out loud that everybody I spoke with, all the things, even to the point, like they tried to work out things with the city to allow them to use fields for soccer fields. And they were very disappointed when they didn't get that done. Even the people that do some of the cooking, the chefs and some of their local faculty just have a volunteer's heart. I mean, all the ones you talk to are like, oh, I would like to work with the Hands of Mercy. No, I like, other things. It just, to me, everyone I've talked to has been positive and want to do things better and want to make community and want moved here to be better. And I just think there were a lot of things about Resurgence that weren't told publicly and that people don't know. So I didn't want them to be misrepresented in that way and for it to be said. I mean, people bringing the stats about all the police calls to the William D. Jones facility. I wanted it said out loud also that several of those were local people that were causing damage to their facilities. It wasn't their people, it wasn't their faculty. So I thought that was a misrepresentation of some of the numbers. So I just wanted some of those things that I knew that just to be said out loud, and I can appreciate the families that from that neighborhood, but also long term, I think there's the return on investment could be positive. No. I appreciate y'all for my time and good luck.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Brian Maxwell. We moved to Fayetteville about 12 years ago. Bought a house on Stonebridge Drive. So my question is, well, not really a question, but he said in 10 to 15 years, it may be beneficial. But to who? It's not gonna be beneficial to my property. The guy as a real estate agent can't say it's not gonna make my property go down. There's no way. There's nobody gonna move his hand and say, well, I like to buy 207 Stonebridge Drive. Thank God it's got a drug rehab right up the road. You know, there's no good that can come from this. He keeps telling about the nation's problems and everybody has problems. Okay, if this was a local thing and this was gonna treat local people, that'd be one thing. It still would be bad. But if it was gonna help out the community, that's one thing. But most of the people who's gonna be coming in here, they're gonna be imported in from somewhere else. I work in Huntsville at the hospital. I see all this stuff all the time. So what I'm saying is, the way Huntsville's growing, you should be to get them people up here. The working class people that's gonna pay taxes, not put in some kind of a drug rehab where the people there, it will be a blight on the community. And I hate to say that. I've never been in one of these meetings before in my life. I've never had to, because I've never had a problem with anything. But when it starts coming to be with me and mine, I have to start speaking up. I got my tax assessment letter where my property went up the same day I got this resurgence letter. No, so if it goes in and y'all do rezone it, next year, I want my house reappraised and it makes sense if it don't go down. I mean, everybody in here, most people are from our community, from our street. I don't know most of them because I don't get out, stay in my own backyard, stay where I'm at. But there's no good that can come of this. And then I started doing a little research on this, and I was like, who bought the Stonebridge? Did we not own it anymore? Does the county not own it anymore? So I pulled it up on the tax thing, sold it December 2020. 9 acres and a whole school for $56,000. How is that even possible? I mean, how is that possible? 9 acres in town, a building with a big gym that could be a youth center, that could be anything other than a drug rehab center. So all I'm saying is, Huntsville is going to be the largest, most populated city in Alabama. They're already migrating this way because the housing prices down there. I've had people I work with, nurses I work with, put their house on the market on a Thursday, and by Friday it has 6 offers on it, and all of them are over asking price. So all of these people that's working at the hospitals and stuff, professional people, are going to move to where they can afford to live. You get $1,000 for an apartment down there. You know, there's no way. So they're moving up this way anyhow. That's the kind of people you want to bring into here. You know, out of the 20 people that's at your facility right now, how many of them are local? I mean, I'm just saying, you don't bring stuff in that you don't have to. If this was something we had to do, you know, our drug problem was so bad here in Lincoln County that we had to bring a center in. Okay, then that's one thing. We have to do it for the good of the community. But, you know, 1% of the population have one drug overdose or whatever he says, 6 or whatever. You know, we walk around here. I walk around all the time. I have a big old boxer dog I walk around. You don't see what they're talking about. I mean, I'm sure drugs and all is bad, but, you know, it's just not here. He keeps saying it's here, it's here. It's not here. It may be in Tennessee, but it's not in Lincoln County. So there's no sense bringing something to Lincoln County that we don't already have. And I'm sure there's something better for that building that could be done. I mean, I'm sure there's something else that could be done in that building. But I appreciate y'all letting me talk.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? If nobody else, we'll close this public hearing. The next public hearing is the FY 2022 Budget Ordinance 2021-06. That also includes the Fayetteville City School System budget. We passed that in totality. So does anybody want to speak for or against the current budget amendment for 2022? If there's no speakers, we'll close that. Due to the length of that, we haven't started our official meeting yet, so we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will start our official meeting at 5:56.
You had great representation. Are you for or against?